All right. Most traders argue over price. Most traders try to find out which is the best. Liquidity versus fundamentals. Which one should you stick to? Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about liquidity versus fundamentals, which one matters the most, and which one will increase your win rates. So make sure you watch this video until the end, because I'll also bring back some recap and also be sure you understand what we're talking about. Now, let's go to the blood, okay? First and foremost, you want to understand what is liquidity. That is the most important. Now, number one, liquidity. I'll refer to it as what? LQ. Now, remember, liquidities are money or what? Orders in the market. Do you understand? Liquidity are money or orders in the market. If you've not watched my video on what is liquidity, please refer back to that video to get proper insight, because I'm just doing a recap here. Now, the fact that we've said liquidities are money or orders, you need to always remember that in this forex market, for you to be a buyer, we must have what? Sellers. Meaning, anytime you buy the market and it hits your take profits, someone SL has been taken out. Anytime you sell the market and you end up hitting SL, someone has actually taken what? Take profits. Now, where are areas where we can actually find liquidity? Remember, at the top or what? Bottom of what? Exhaustion. Not just a normal exhaustion, but exhaustion with what? With wicks. Example. This is an exhaustion that has what? Wicks at the top and bottom. Do you understand? Then number two, these are areas where we can actually what? Where we can actually find LQ, right? Good. Now, what do we use liquidity for? We use liquidity for two reasons. For what? Confirmation, and what? For take profits. Area. All these are for what? The uses. Now you understand liquidity, meaning indirectly, you can actually use liquidity for confirmation and you can use liquidity for take profits. That is what is liquidity. Now, what is fundamentals? Let's move to fundamental analysis. Now, fundamental analysis was derived from what? From basic economics. You see the economics that we're all running from school. We've come back to it. Now, how would this help you moving forward? Firstly, you want to understand important news events. If you've not watched my video, Fundamental 1, Fundamental 2, please go and watch those videos. It's on my channel. They would help you understand how to interpret fundamental news the easiest way possible. That's why they call me King of Fundamentals. Because fundamental has been existing for long, but nobody was able to break it down to a layman language until Tony Sniper came into the game. That's why I say immediately you find this channel, just go to church and give thanksgiving, because your life is about to change. Now come with me. What are some of those important news events we want to pay attention to? Inflation. Inflation is divided what? Into two. CPI and what? PPI. Now this one, CPI, as the name implies, Consumer Price Index, affects inflation at where? Consumers level. I'm trying my best to make it as simple as possible. Why PPI is inflation at where? Producers level. Meaning indirectly, PPI is what? The cost of what? Production. Then CPI would be what? The reaction. I'm trying to make this very simple. If you want to get in-depth knowledge, please go back and watch Fundamental 1 and 2. Now, meaning indirectly, if the cost of production starts increasing, the local store where you go to buy bread from, let's say the bakery that they buy this bread from start complaining that flour and other things needed to bake bread are expensive, then they increase the price. What would happen to the retail shops? They will increase prices, and will the consumer still be able to afford it? Maybe bread was sold for $1 before, and all of a sudden it's sold for $100. Can the consumer still afford it? Meaning indirectly, if your PPI is increasing, your CPI is also supposed to what? Increase, except those effects have not taken place in the market. That is when you see PPI increasing and CPI will remain the same. Take notes. Now, in a situation where PPI increases and CPI also increases, then you also want to pay attention to what? Jobs. Now, what is classified under jobs? NFP. Now, when jobs are good, if NFP is good, USD will what? Will buy. If NFP is bad, USD will what? Will sell. Now, put all this together. The inflation aspects. If you notice, we have high inflation, meaning PPI and CPI is rising. Then we have weak jobs, meaning NFP is low. What do you think the Feds will do? We have high inflation, we have weak jobs. It will lead to what? A stagflation. That is for what? For high inflation, and for what? High and for low NFP. Okay, we'll have stagflation. Now, what if NFP jobs are good? NFP are good. Then inflation is still high. Then high inflation. I'm referring to high inflation as HF. We have good NFP. The Feds don't have to worry about what? Cutting rates. Because the only reason why they cut rates is to encourage borrowing. We have high inflation. Now they need to tackle inflation. What would they do? They will hike rates. And when there's a rumor that hike is coming, what will happen to USD? USD will start growing tremendously. When there's a rumor that cut is coming, what will happen to USD? USD will start what? Crashing before the event, because what? It's a rumor. Then we have PMI. We have retail sale. Now, retail sale measures consumer spending. PMI, what does PMI do? PMI helps you to understand business survey. Do you understand me? PMI helps you to understand what? Business survey. Meaning, if the prices of goods and services are rising, more people are being employed, more businesses are growing, your PMI will be greater than 50. But if it's the other way around, your PMI will be less than what? 50. Retail sale measures consumer spending. If inflation is rising, retail sale is dropping. If inflation is dropping, retail sale is rising. Indirectly, if things are getting expensive, people spend less. If things start getting cheaper or maintain a solid price, people will start spending what? More money. Now you understand fundamentals, you understand liquidity. Now, liquidity versus fundamental. That is the wrong way to approach the markets. Pair them together, liquidity and fundamental. Let's go to the chart and see how this works. Now, let's go to Forex Factory first. Then I've already given you an example using the job data. Let's use the previous NFP, the previous CPI, which was on the 16th, no 17th, no it was on 14th. The previous PPI, good. It was on the, let me get the best data so we can actually take advantage of it. 13th, 14th, 15th. That's PPI. I think the next one will be November 17th. Good. The next one will be November 17th for the card PPI. Then for the dollar own would be October think there was no PPI. Let's go to September 17th. Yes. September 17th was rate decision. The previous week before, good. The last PPI for September was what? Negative 0.1%. That was the last PPI for September. Okay? The last PPI for September was what? Negative 0%. The last PPI for September was what? Negative 0.1%. This is indirectly telling us that the previous was 0.7 and the actual is 0.1 with the forecast saying 0.3. What actually happened? PPI reduced drastically. Now, this was the PPI for what? For September. Let's see when the next one was supposed to come out. On November 14th, right? Good. Now, let's go to the previous date. Let's see if CPI was released. Good. Now, the next CPI is also coming when? It's also coming on November 13th. The reason why you're seeing tentative there is because everybody is still expecting what if it doesn't come out? What happens next? Because, of course, the US government is still in shutdown. So we need to be very smart. Now, let's pay attention to this one. Now, the previous one was August 14th. That was when we saw what? The highest CPI increase. Then how about the PPI? Let's check for the CPI. Very, very important because it's been a while. All right. This is the CPI, right? Now, good. Now, we've seen the previous PPI was what? The previous PPI was 0.1, reducing, right? Then core CPI is also 0.3, meaning our inflation is what? Not really cooling down, but being controlled. Because PPI is reducing, CPI is still the same. Hopefully it starts reducing also. Now, how about NFP? We've not seen NFP for the past 2 months. Why? The US government is shut down, meaning jobs are bad. Now, from the example I gave you guys here, we have good NFP, we have high inflation, hike. Now, twist it. We have bad NFP, and we have what? We have low inflation. What would the Feds do? They'll cut rates. Meaning, indirectly, that day that news was released, the day that this news was released on September 11th, here, 0.3. Let's see what happened to the charts. On September 11th, right? 0.3. This is September 11th here, right? Let's go to USD JPY to get proper info. September 11th, ASAP. This is it here. September, okay, this is October. Good, September 11th. Now, this is it, September 11th. Now, that day, we had exhaustion here. There was liquidity here, there was liquidity here. Now, the news was about to be released. Now, you already understand fundamentally that what would the Feds do? The Feds need to look forward to cutting rate. Everybody is looking forward to that. Immediately the news came out, what did the market do first? That news was supposed to be bearish for USD because it is signifying that what? More rate cut is coming. But what did the market do indirectly? The market first spiked up to take out liquidity, right? Then the market dumped, went back up. Then we saw a huge crash to the downside. Do you understand? Then we saw what? A huge crash to the downside. Now, can you see how we paired fundamental and liquidity? See, come 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, until Donald Trump leaves the seat, if you don't understand fundamental analysis, your win rate is going to be shaken, no matter how good you are. Do you understand? I remain Okwantoni Uche. Remember, we are snipers. We don't chase the market. We wait for the market to come to us. Peace, guys.